Cootie Crew, welcome back! This is the bonus video for this week if you're watching this in real time. As I promised on my YouTube Instagram, I'll be doing 2 videos this week because I took a couple weeks off. This video is all about all of my piercings, of which I have many. If I counted correctly just now, I have 15 different piercings. I got these all over a very long span of time, but I'll just be going over each of them and sharing a little bit of information about each one with you guys today. On my channel, I do have a lot of videos that go more into depth about many of these different piercings. This will just be a really brief recap of each one of them, especially because that would be a really long video if I went in depth on all of them. Let's start off with my ears. My very first piercing that I ever got was my lobes. I got them when I was, 5 or 6 or something like that. I was really small. And then like 3 years ago, I decided to stretch them, and they're now at a 14mm size. And my goal size is 16mm, which means I'm only 2mm away, and I'm so close to being done stretching. My second lobe piercings, I don't actually remember when I got these, but these second lobe piercings and then all of these cartilage piercings up here, they were all done just at the mall. While we're on this note though, I will say that I was unaware of the difference between like piercings at the mall versus piercings at a piercing shop, and I would definitely recommend everybody go to a piercing shop and get your ears pierced with a needle, because it is so much better for your ears and they know what they're doing. Just do it. And this third hole piercing here, I used to have a third lobe piercing over on my right ear as well, but I did those myself and didn't really do a good job of doing them. I would not recommend piercing your own ears at home with a safety pin, but that's what I did. Oh, I was a teenager. But for that reason, the third one on this side, got super scarred and closed up, and I have never been able to get it re-pierced. And on this side, the hole is super crooked. It's crazy. I have to spend a couple minutes trying to get an earring into this side because the hole is like, I don't even know. I really don't. So I almost never wear anything in my third lobe piercing just because it is such a pain to get it in there. And my cartilage, I have 3 piercings up here now. I wouldn't say that the cartilage hurt more than the lobe or whatever, but it did hurt more to sleep with my cartilage piercings. I do remember that both times I got them pierced. Just, I guess probably because that part of your ear sticks out more. So I just remember that being a pain in the butt with trying to sleep on those fresh piercings. That's the only thing I remember. This was like over a decade ago. It's been a while. And all of those piercings are over a decade old. Some of them 2 decades now. Sticking with the ears, we'll talk about my rook piercings. I actually have 2 rook piercings, and one of them is really hard to see, which is why I kept just a really plain barbell in there, because it's almost never really seen and I wasn't going to spend money on something fancy. But then the outer rook piercing, I have this cute little opal jewelry in. I think it's really cute. The inner rook hurt like crazy. It felt like the piercer had to jam their whole body weight into it to get the needle through my ear. It hurt like crazy. It hurt for a long time. It took forever to heal. But then the second one that you can see was way smoother and healed quick. But yeah, had those for over a decade now too. On my right ear, I have my Daith pierced. And I did that because I had so much going on in my left ear, I decided to put something in my right ear. A lot of people get this piercing for migraines, and I didn't really have a problem with migraines. I just got it because it was really cute. My sister and I were in the same city together, and we decided to go get a piercing together at my favorite piercing shop, and we decided to get this one. I didn't have any issues with this one healing. I think, again, just because it's like on the inside of my ear, it didn't really get hit or bothered very much during the healing process, so I didn't have any problems with it. Moving on to my nose now. On my nose, I have both my septum pierced and my left nostril. My left nostril was actually pierced a couple of times, and you can even see like the old scar in my nose from one of the past times where I ended up just getting really upset and taking the nose ring out. I was not properly taking care of that piercing up until this third and final time where I did all of the correct aftercare and then it healed up fine. The reason the nostril piercing didn't work out previously was 100% my own fault. And getting it pierced is one of the quicker pain. It's like the pain is quick, you know? For some of the ones like the Rook, because it's like such a sturdy part of your ear, it takes a while for them to get it through and get the jewelry through. But for the nose, it was so quick. It was just felt like a really hard pinch on my nostril. Next is my septum piercing, and this is one of my favorites. I think it's so cute. It's front and center on my face and adds a nice amount of character to my nose. And the jewelry that I wear in my septum makes a really big difference on the look of something. So right now I have in like a really dainty, like sparkly septum ring, and it's, you know, very cute. But if I put in like a dark clicker or a more intricate one, or one that's really big, it can totally change the look from like being cute to like being more edgy. It's just so versatile. I really like it. And on top of it, it was literally painless. I did not know that they had done the piercing when it was done. And I go into more detail in the video that's all about my septum piercing, but for a lot of people, that's the case, is that there's a sweet spot in your nose where they can pierce it and you feel nothing. Not at all. And the healing process for it was just as easy, so I've really been in love with this the whole time. We have not had any quarrels together, me and my septum piercing. Besides my septum piercing, I think this would be my next favorite piercing that I have. I got my sternum pierced a year ago, almost on the dot to whenever I published this video. It's been a year. And the first few months of aftercare were totally smooth, no issues. And then after a couple months, it got real nasty. And again, there's way more information on that in the video all about that. But so I did have a bit of a point in time where I was like regretting this piercing because it just would not heal up and I was so mad at it. And all the piercing shops were closed because the pandemic had just started and everything was shut down and I couldn't get help. But after using emu oil on it, calmed back down, and I haven't had issues with it since. But I do have a little buildup of scar tissue over that top gem that has just never gone away. But it hasn't really caused me any issues. Nothing has really come out of it or changed in over 6 months now. So I think we're in the clear in terms of healing. We're all done and we're good. I get asked all the time about if this one hurt, and the answer is yes. I mean, all piercings hurt, right? Because you're getting stabbed with a needle. But this one really hurt. And I think part of it is just because it was a longer piercing. The two gems that you see are connected by a post that's underneath my skin. So first there was the piercing of the skin, and then it tapered out to get the post in, and then once the post was in properly, then the jewels had to go on. So compared to just the quick process for maybe like a nose ring where the needle goes in and then it just pulls the jewelry right through, it was more of an extended process to get this piercing. But yeah, it hurt. But only for a little bit, and now it's worth it because it's so cute. Another question I get about this one all the time is whether or not it gets caught on things. And the posts are short enough and the gems are flat enough that for the most part I can avoid it getting caught on things. I think if the gems like stuck out more, I could definitely see that happening. Hair gets in it a lot, like I have to pull my hair out from around it, or my dog's hair. But in terms of like clothing and things like that, it hasn't really been an issue. But another thing is like dogs, if they jump on me or something, there have been a couple that like their claws like caught it and pulled it, and that hurt. Like one of the times the dog's claw snagged it, I saw stars and I had to sit down because it hurt so bad. But it didn't bleed or anything, or nothing really happened besides it just hurting a lot. Like it was a little red and swollen for a little bit, and then a few hours later it was back to normal and it was fine. I haven't had any issues with like purses or seatbelts or anything like that. And last but certainly not least is my latest piercing, which is my navel piercing. I've only had this for 2 months, so we're still pretty early in the healing process because this one takes a long time. I still have my initial piercing jewelry in there. I need to get in there and get a smaller barbell now that the swelling is all done. The pain for this one was somewhere between like a nostril piercing and my sternum piercing, in that it was quicker but hurt more. The piercing process of like needle jewelry, pretty quick, but it did hurt like crazy compared to my nose or my ear or something like that. I wanted a navel piercing for such a long time, like years and years and years, and then I would always talk myself out of it. And then one day I just woke up and I said, I'm making that appointment today so that I don't talk myself out of it. And then I did, and I got it done, and I'm really happy that I finally did it, instead of putting it off and waiting and wanting it and thinking about it and then not doing it. Again, I won't go into too much detail because this one has a whole video on its own, but the first little bit of healing was very tender, and you don't realize how much movement or things touch your belly button until it's really tender and painful. Turns out it's a lot of things. So I wasn't anticipating just how much irritation would be going on when I first got it, but after a week it was fine and it was calmed down. And that's a wrap. That's all of the piercings that I have. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a favorite one of my piercings, your piercings, want to share feedback, tips, or have questions about anything related to piercings, please go ahead and feel free to leave them in the comment section. Cootie Crew, you are freaking fantastic, and it has been so cool to see you be so active in the comments and helping each other out. Thank you so much. If this video was useful or maybe just entertaining, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You can check out all the other videos I have on my channel, and if you want to stay tuned for future videos, please subscribe. See you later.